Okay, beloved, let us join our hearts again as we ask for the Lord's blessings. Amen. Well, beloved, we are still in Daniel, and we're going to back up a chapter and back into 7. And because we're right at this focal point, the blue section, that chapter 7, where the Son of Man is in the presence of the Ancient of Days, and the dominions are changing hands, and it's going to be a change of kingdom. And that is the whole point of the book of Daniel. That's why he's written both the first half and the second half. And we're in the transition from the Aramaic to the Hebrew, and they're going to have the same subjects, but from a different perspective. And truly, every chapter in Daniel points to chapter 7. So we're going to spend just a little bit of time in 7, just to play with a few things, and hopefully that will help us as we hit other puzzles as we go through the Word. And so we're right in that middle chiasm, and we're going to kind of move through it, because when we learn new things, the whole purpose of learning things is not to just have answers, but it's for us to ask better questions. And that truly is the reason for all learning. And in fact, I know many times I've mentioned about the James Webb Telescope, that it is going to rewrite every book that we have on the subject of our cosmos. And not this year, but definitely Rose and DJs and those will not learn the model of the universe that I learned and has been the model we've used for the last 100 or so years. It has fundamentally changed everything we know about how the universe moves and exists. In similar ways, that scope has allowed scientists to now ask better questions, things about the universe they couldn't see before. Things that they could not even have the information to ask a better question. Same thing with our text. As we move through the Bible, we get a different view of who God is, and we begin to change that model. And that's what we want to do with chapter 7, because last week at lunch, a question was asked, and a very good one. When does all this stuff in chapter 7 happen? When does the Son of Man enter into the throne room of the Ancient of Days? When does he receive the kingdom? When does all this thing change hands? Is it first century? Is it way in the future? When does it happen? Great question. We're going to answer that question very specifically, very directly. But that's not going to help you, because once you answer that question very directly, it's going to make you ask 6 more questions. You're going to have, because now you're going to say, well, if that's the answer, now I've got a question about this, about that, about another thing. And we'll get to those. That's the fun of the faith. So today, don't freak out if you have more questions at the end than when you began, right? Because we are in chapter 7. Excuse me. And I wanted to read the entire text, about the beasts and the 4 beasts being their dominion taken away, and the little horn speaking blasphemies. And then here we have the Ancient of Days taking his seat, and now the Son of Man. Kind of read the whole thing to kind of refresh our memories. So next week or the week prior, you need to read chapter 7 before you come 2 or 3 times. That way we don't have to read it together. We can just hit it. So verse 13 says, and I saw in the night vision, and behold, with the clouds of heaven, there came one like the Son of Man. And he came to the Ancient of Days and was presented before him. And to him was given dominion, glory, and a kingdom, that all peoples and nations and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom one that shall not be destroyed. Right? This is that section where he is given, one like the Son of Man is given the dominion. And when we think about that, when we think about, well, who is the dominion taken from? Meaning, is it just in a pile that he just is the only one to claim it? Or was it in someone else's hands and is now being transferred to him. And now the question that was asked last week that we're going to answer directly is, when does this happen? When do we see him in the visions coming on the clouds of heaven? Thankfully, the scriptures are super crystal clear on this one. And I'm going to tell you, I disagree with the majority of the scholars. The majority of the scholars believe that it is the ascension around Acts, where the apostles are with Jesus, and then he rises in the cloud to the Father. They think that is the moment that it's there. And then there are those who, another portion of scholars who say, no, it's not even there. It's a distant future event. It hasn't quite crystallized all the way. It's going to be thousands of years even from us, or maybe if Iran thing works out, we could end the whole thing and get on with it. Just two different views. There's a minority position, of which I'm going to be part of, that says, no, Jesus speaks very clearly about this. He tells you exactly when, and it's in Matthew. In fact, the other parallel text is from Mark that Tom read to us. Maybe you didn't pick it up from his reading. In Matthew 26, this is Jesus. He's been arrested. He's been brought before the Sanhedrin, and Caiaphas, the high priest, is questioning him and saying, tell us who you are. And Jesus says, but Jesus remained silent. And the high priest said to him, I adjure you by the living God, tell us if you are the Christ, the Son of God. And Jesus said to him, you have said so. But I tell you, from now on, you will see the Son of Man seated at the right hand of power and coming on the clouds of heaven. And then the high priest tore his robe, yelled blasphemy. When does Jesus say, you will see the Son of Man at the right hand in power and glory? From now on, from this moment forward. The translators got it right. It's from hereafter. He doesn't say really soon. He doesn't say at the ascension, which is some 40 days in the future. He doesn't say in 40 days you're going to see me. He says from this moment now, you're going to see that. And this is where the children can help us participate. The scholars have problem with this, and they say, well, he wasn't in power and glory at the minute. He's going to eventually get there because he's going to be humiliated for another couple of days. But this is the point where Jesus officially says, now I'm not hiding my identity. I'm going to let it be expressed. Don't find that very strong, because if DJ and Rosalind and Elizabeth are on summer vacation and they are free from school, and when their mother gets on the computer to do her schoolwork, that they then go outside and ride their bikes and hit the baseball and just do whatever they do or please, right? Get their own food, do the whole thing. It's time to start school. Jackie says, all right, guys, I need you to do your schoolwork on the thing. Jackie then goes into her little mode of teaching the other children. And then when she gets done and she comes out, she finds DJ and Rosalind, Elizabeth out riding their bikes like normal and playing baseball and not doing their school. And she says to them, like, what are you doing? I said to do that. And they say, but we've done this the whole time. This is what we've been doing. And then she says, from now on, I want you to wake up, get cleaned up, eat some breakfast, do your school before you go out and ride your bike into the. From now on, I know what we did over the summer, but from this point forward, I want you to do this. Next day, Jackie does her normal thing, gets on the computer, the kids do their thing, she gets off, and they're outside riding their bikes and doing this stuff and not doing their school. And Jackie says, why are you not doing those things? And they say, oh, I thought you meant by from now on. That was 40 days in the future. It was next month. That's what the scholars are saying from now on means. It's later at Jesus' ascension. I'm saying help me out, DJ. When she says from now on, is she meaning 30 days in the future? Yeah. And the dragon's coming out and letting you know we did not have the same definition of from this moment forward. Jesus is saying, from this moment forward, you are going to see the Son of Man at the right hand of power. That throws us into, so we answered the question, right? We started this saying we're going to answer the question, when does this happen? Jesus says, right now. I told you, you can have 6 more questions. How can this be? What do you mean? Let's play with it, right? Because he says, from now on. Now, it's troublesome because if it's not from right now on, there are some who would say Jesus misspoke. He thought it was going to crash down and go, but he was veiled in his deity and he didn't know it and he made a mistake. Not a sin, but just didn't know. I'm not in that camp. Jesus knows exactly what he's saying, I believe, when he does this. And so when we think about what does that mean then? Because if we see the Son of Man as an individual, it being a moniker for Jesus Christ, another name for him, almost like we have for God, the Father of lights, right? We have a circumlocution of which we don't say his name directly, but it's a title, right? To save you a ton of time. The Son of Man is not a title anywhere found before Jesus really takes it for himself as a messianic figure or one who has authority and power. Like we don't have any Second Temple literature or other things to where it is a title like the Christ, the anointed one. They're expecting the anointed one. There's no false messiahs, right? Messiah is another one. Are these the messiahs? We have many messiahs around Jesus' time and after Jesus' time of people saying, I'm the Messiah. We don't have anyone in both before or after coming around and saying, I'm the Son of Man. We don't have an Egyptian saying, follow me, I'm the Son of Man. And that's an argument from silence, but we don't have anything that is like that. Jesus is sort of the first one to say, this is a special thing, and I'm calling it on me. But if we say the Son of Man is the individual, we're on a problem here because Jesus isn't in power in coming, as he says there, unless those words mean something different from that point forward. Right? Because that point forward isn't Jesus in power. It's Jesus in humiliation. Right? He just read, they spit in his face next. They rip out part of his beard next. They beat him with blows next. They whip him. They drag him naked through the streets. They hang him up and crucify him. If I said, I'd love to give you guys an all position of power. I'm going to empower you all. And I spit in your face. Are you going to go like, I really like the way Sadoon empowers me? No. So there's a problem for us. Now let's try to get off the horns of this dilemma if we can. Okay? So let's think again of this scene in the vision that we had, right? Saw in the night vision. This clouds of heaven, same language, and the Son of Man coming. But look what it says about the Son of Man. Oh, can I go backwards? Let me fix it. Who receives the dominion? And this is the open forum. Son of Man. And who is that? Jesus, right? We all go, so he said the Son of Man, Jesus. Is that what Daniel means? right? Because if we say the Son of Man is Jesus, Daniel says he's like. He's one like the Son of Man. He doesn't say, I saw in the night vision, behold, the clouds of heaven, there came the Son of Man. Bunch more questions. Welcome to learning. Welcome to being a disciple. Welcome to those things of which we get the joy of knitting and pulling apart things that no. He says he's like the Son of Man. So the one who is like the Son of Man receives the dominion. And who does he receive the dominion from? Remember, what's the vision about? It's about beasts, and kingdoms, and horns. Are those beasts real individuals? Are they? Is the beast of the lion, is it a person? Or is it a kingdom? And James would say, can it be both? And I am pretty confident Daniel's surname was Newman, because he weaves together. It could be both. It could be both. He's playing here with us. Can it be both? Right? Because those kingdoms have their dominion removed. So if the beasts represent a kingdom and not an individual, wouldn't it be parallel that the Son of Man represents a kingdom and not an individual in this text? If you don't mind, let me argue it for you. If we keep reading the rest of chapter 7, and I wish we had more patience and time and we could just read it all together, he's going to reiterate the story 4 times. The same story, right? Talk about the 4 beasts, the little horn, the redemption of the kingdom, the dominion changing of the kingdom. Talk about the beast, talk about the horn, talk about who gets the kingdom. Talk about the beast, talk about the horn, talk about who gets the kingdom. The first one he does, the Son of Man receives the kingdom. The next 3 are not individual, are not singular, are not a person who gets it. Look what it says. I'm just going to read them quickly. Verse 17, and then these 4 beasts are 4 kings. I don't expect you to be able to read that. Excuse me. Who shall rise out of the earth? But the saints of the Most High shall receive the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever and ever. And here it talks about the beast's dominion being taken away and given to the saints. 21, as I look, the horn that made war with the saints, again, the horn of the saints, prevailed over them until the ancient of days come, and judgment was given for the saints of the Most High. And the time came when the saints possessed the kingdom. Again, the kingdom is being given to a people or holy ones. We're not getting that today. There's 10 more questions on that one, but we'll get there. 27. And the kingdom and the dominion and the greatness of the kingdoms of the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High. Again, a collective plural. So the first one, it's given to one like the Son of Man. The next one's given to the saints, and to the people of the saints. The fourth one is even bigger and broader. Let me work with a little bit of the phrasing in 27. At the end of 27, when it talks about those who set up the judgment seats, the court hearing, the other Elohim, and they take the dominion away from the beasts and give them to the saints. But the court shall sit in judgment, and his dominion shall be taken away. Speaking of the horn, speaking of the last kingdom, to be consumed and destroyed to the end. And the kingdom and the dominion and the greatness of the kingdoms under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High. His kingdom shall be an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. Now, obviously, I put that up there because there is some textual criticism we have to address. You, as a translator, have to fill in the blanks. You must. This is from the ESV. The ESV, the King James, a lot of maybe your Bibles. Read them. Does it say his and him? Or does it say their and them? Because that reads different. Shall be given to the people of the saints of the earth. Their kingdom shall be an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey them. If you have a Hebrew Tanakh, it's going to say them and their. If you read several of the New Testament or the newer translations, they're going to say their and them, not he and him as an individual. Why is that? You, as the translator, have to decide, is it a collective singular or is it a singular person who has that kingdom? And from the text, you would say it's from a collective saints. It's the saints of the Most High who now possess the kingdom. And if we went back to those other three things, we would see the same thing. That's the people. It's the collective thing. Now that changes our reading of what's happening with dominion in this world. And I'm not saying ours is outside of Christ. I'm saying that the Son of Man that he's speaking of has a job to do. That Son of Man has a role to play in not just eschatology, but in our present world. And that's where I want us to push. Because when we look at all three, it's the saints who are given the kingdom. So it would make sense that 27 would read their kingdom. Because, brothers and sisters, it is our kingdom. We're not the king, but he has made us the body of Christ. Here it is where Jesus plays again with wordage. Where is Christ? Well, he's on the throne in heaven. Is he not within you? He's going to play with you this way. He's going to give you paradoxes that can't make sense. They're not going to fit together. And he's going to say, look at Paul. When Paul was Saul, what did he do? Persecuted the church. Got a letter from the Sanhedrin to go and to beat and to drive and to put Christians into prison. And he's on the road to Damascus. And what happens? He's struck with a vision, thrown from his horse, blinded. What does the voice say to him? Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me? Jesus speaking. Did Saul ever put a lash to the body of Jesus Christ? Did he ever imprison Jesus Christ? We have no record of it from our text. He only does it to you people. And Jesus saying, when you do it to one of these, you're doing it to me. They are my body. Your body's above the road in Damascus. Can it be both? He's going to play with us that way. So it is here when he's talking about dominion and this collectiveness, because we must put on our sanctified imaginations, because when he says there's one like the Son of Man, what is the Son of Man like? Where are you getting this information, this database? Right? You have to be referencing something for Daniel to say, it's kind of like this, right? What does a bald eagle taste like when you cook it? Kind of like chicken. You'd have to know what chicken tastes like to do a bald eagle, right? If I said, Danny, is like his grandfather. How many of you other than DJ know what I mean? Anyone who want to throw up a guess? Because Danny's like his grandfather on his mother's side. Nobody has a guess. Is he a mean guy? Is he, gregarious? What? Susan knows. What is he? He's a pastor. So when I say Danny is like his grandfather, I'm referring to a specific quality and a thought about the other thing that Danny is exhibiting the quality of. So when Daniel says, this one who is given the thing is like the Son of Man, who is he referencing? Who is he talking about? Obviously, there is some qualities about the Son of Man that he's saying this one's like. He's following in his image, right? When people say about Anna, she's like her mother in that, it's usually a compliment and some other thing. And when they say she's like her father, it's usually some personality flaw or some other thing that is coming to the surface. So what is Daniel referencing? If you look in the Old Testament, all the references to the Son of Man, there's 107 of them that I can find. Maybe you can find 108. I've only found 107. Where do you think most of them are? If it was 50% of them in one place, you'd say that's pretty big, wouldn't you? Ezekiel. Of the 107 references, at least 91 of them are in Ezekiel. 91 of them. That's a lot. There's one in Numbers. There's a couple in Psalms. There's only this one and one other in Daniel. Daniel's only got 2. But he's saying it's like this thing. So if you want to know what this thing is like, wouldn't you look at the 91 other references? That's Ezekiel. So Daniel, remember, is prophesying at the same time as Ezekiel. They're buddies. They go back and forth. Ezekiel puts Daniel's name in his book, and they go back and forth. And so he's saying, what's the role of Daniel? What possibly could Ezekiel be doing that makes the high priest go, I'm mad. I'm mad. I'm crazy mad. I'm going to defile the priesthood. I'm so mad. For your homework, read the entire Bible, but read Ezekiel specifically. But I'm going to give you it in a nutshell. The whole first half of Ezekiel, for chapter after chapter after chapter, it's about the destruction of Israel. It's about the destruction of Jerusalem. It's about him being told, and he sees the exact same vision that we have in Daniel, right? Because if we back up a little bit, we would see, and he says, and from his throne is rolling fire, and there's beasts around him and other beings. And Daniel sees the same thing. He gives you the same tip-off of we're looking at the same Ancient of Days on the same throne, and he's told to come. And the first one he's told to come when he comes before, right? Ezekiel saw the wheels, and there's cherubim in the wheels or beasts in the wheels. We'll look at that another time. But he's been told to eat. He gives him a scroll, and he says, what does he give to Daniel, son of man? He's going to get a scroll, right? Revelation. He gets a scroll. It's written on both sides. Lamentations, troubles, eat it, swallow it. And then what does he say about Daniel, right? Daniel's going to be like, oh, you know what I want you to do, Daniel? I want you to go up in the courtyard, and I want you to get a brick. And that brick's going to be Jerusalem. And I want you to put siege ramps up to it. And I want you to surround it. I want you to do all these things to it. And I want you to lie on one side and bang yourself for 390 days. And then I want you to lie on the other side for Israel for another 30 days or whatever. And he makes him do all this stuff, speaking about the destruction of Israel. And he just keeps going on at length again and again and again. And Ezekiel's like, and he calls him the Son of Man every time. Son of man, go get a brick. Son of man, go cut your hair. I want you to cut all your hair off, Ezekiel. You're the Son of Man. And you know what I want you to do? I want you to divide it up into 3 portions. And I want you to throw a third of it into the fire. And then another third, I want you to hack it up with a sword. And then the other half, I want you to throw it to the wind and then chase it with a sword and hack it up. And God says, that's what I'm going to do with Israel. That's what I'm going to do with Jerusalem. And he goes again and again and again with these pictures. The Son of Man is come to destroy Israel. And then what happens after he destroys Israel? He destroys the nations. It goes chapter after chapter after chapter of changing dominion there. He changes dominion in the house of Israel first, then he changes dominion in the world. Read Ezekiel, because Daniel's reading Ezekiel. He's reading Jeremiah. We're going to hit those because the last one, you could just pull out every chapter and go like, what's this one about? It's the destruction of Israel. Oh, what's chapter 11 about? It's the destruction of Israel. And then you're like, Daniel or Ezekiel, go look at this one. Look, there's a man in linen. There's a priest. It's Ezekiel. Ezekiel's the priest. He's the one in linen. Scoop up coals. And I want you to take those hot coals and scatter them all over Jerusalem. And I'm going to burn it to the ground. That's what the Son of Man has come to do. And when Jesus says to Caiaphas, from this moment on, the proverbial Son of Man will be seen in power and glory. He's meaning, I'm the greater Ezekiel. And as Danny's referenced, and I'm all that I've come. And I've come here for one purpose. And that purpose is to do like Ezekiel to all of you. I'm going to kill a third of you with the sword. I'm going to burn a third of you. I'm going to drive the others out and kill them in foreign places. That's what I've come to do. That's why the high priest is like, I know what the Son of Man's come to do. I know what he does. Ezekiel, he's got like no happy chapters to the end. This whole thing is, you're going to get, your ears are going to be tired of hearing how God's going to destroy Israel. If you can make it past chapter 17 without going, I just can't hear anymore. This is the same story. He's just picked a different way to destroy them. But he's building a case. He's doing something. So it is in Daniel when he says, I see one like the Son of Man, like the Christ figure, who's an individual, but he's also a collective, singular, my body. That is, and now you, beloved, don't just bring judgment in the first century, because his body did bring judgment in the first century. We'll look at that. We got a lot of questions about that. But he brings judgment even today by us. You, beloved, are the salt and light of this world. I just read to you Daniel chapter 7, where 3 times it talks about the saints. And if you want to write your name in that, do that. But definitely write your name in verse 27, where it says the people of the saints. That one is 100% you. 100. You have been given dominion. Dominion. We're going to flesh out what that looks like. Because it's not all, rosy colored glasses and, happiness. It's a different kind. It's one like the Son of Man is going to experience. Would you trade for Ezekiel's life? I certainly wouldn't like his baking habits. His baking habits are, Elias was talking about those this morning with Nana and Chuck, right? He has to cook his bread over the fire, and he's going to defile Israel. And what does he have to use for fuel? Human dung. Ezekiel protests and goes, please don't let me do that. And God was like, I got you, bro. Don't use that. Just use animal dung, and you're good. which they did normally anyway, but human dung was an extra defile. That's what he's come to do. And he's come to do it through you and me, through himself. We are the manifestation of Christ in the world. That is our role. That's your function. We're going to die off and fly off, and there's going to be more at it, and there's going to be more die, and it's going to continue. We're the collective singular. And beloved, that is our call, to speak his name into the world, to lift him up on high. Because from that point in time, from in front of Caiaphas till now, his power and glory is manifested here. You were all once lost, blind, haters of God. Maybe not in actual words, but in your lack of love for him. The one who deserved fullness of love, fullness of your devotion, you didn't give it. Yet today you sit here in sound minds like Legion, going like, how can I not follow him across the sea? How can I not do these things? Beloved, rejoice. And again, I say, rejoice. Father, the call that you have upon your children, it's amazing. Truly just amazing. Help us to be your sons. Help us to be one like the Son of Man. Help us to be those who have seen your leadership and your love and your dominion, and we put our hearts and souls to the cause of enjoying you and loving each other, not just now, but into eternity. What a blessed hope. Thank you, Father. And we thank you in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.